Got to say a few things in the previous one. And in this video, I want to talk about just hold out, wait, pause. It's important. This I'm a great believer in conserving your energy until what is about to come to pass has come to pass. Now, I had a friend last night in England who contacted me, basically that's pretty frustrated about not being able to go anywhere. You need to get needlecraft to do this, that, and the other. And remember, we're in a waiting game, a waiting game here. Needlecraft does not work if more than 80% of the population is needlecraft, is pricked, because there has to be a certain amount to who are outside that to have viral load through secondary herd immunity. And that's how they really work. You can't have everyone needlecraft. So we're the 20%. We're going to hold out and let them get to the 80% first. And again, that's a waiting game. It seems terribly frustrating now, but it's a waiting game, okay, that we're dealing with. What is happening? Okay, let me explain to you. Having studied the psychopaths over the years, and what I noticed was towards the end of their lives, they go from psychopathic to psychotic. They become psychotic. They have spent their entire lives existing from a point of consciousness of emulating and mimicking others, preying on them, pretending to be like them, this kind of thing. And they've never developed a structural, integrated sense of self. Now, that's the psychopathic control grid, because it's a product of the psychopathic thinking in politics and globalization and media, is exactly the same way. It's going into psychosis. It's what we're seeing is death screams, the death throes. This when people looking around say, I look around at the world, it's gone bonkers. It's gone bonkers because the psychopathic control grid is going into psychosis. It's into psychosis already. And this psychosis is a particular type of psychosis. It doesn't seem to be that you're dealing with someone who's overtly bonkers, like they don't have bug eyes and they don't run around, but they behave in incredibly strange ways and say incredibly strange things, and everything is contradictory, and they don't really have any control over what they're saying. It's like the program inside them is running a kind of a deterioration script. And we see this with the psychopathic control grid. Masks don't work, mask works. Wear two masks, masks outside are useless, masks inside are useless. Wear masks outside, social distance, don't social distance. And, it's constantly, it's constantly contradictory. And this is what will happen with the psychopath at the end of their life. It's not like Alzheimer's, because they're still fully in control of their faculties on a cognitive level. And they'll say something like, we're going here, no we're not, we're going there. I want to do this, no I want to do that. And we see this in the psychopathic control grid. The same psychotic breakdown is happening. A death has come. These are the death throes. This is why we're having all these other spiritual experiences as well, because for suddenly someone who's had a psychopathic individual, say a parent in a family or something, or a spouse, who has distorted the other person all those generations through gaslighting. Two things happen. They can't live without the gaslighting. We see that with the normies. Okay? Or they're suddenly liberated. They suddenly find that the world is a bigger, more beautiful, and more interesting and dynamic place than they previously thought possible. The tribe. Okay? Simple as that. So you can see that, like, at the people who are completely, terrorized by ping pong. That's what they're like. There's the control grid that they're hanging on to is deteriorating, gone to psychosis, and they're like, well, if we keep doing what it wants, it'll get better again. No, this is a terminal thing. This is it. This is an end game. And the Western psychopathic control grid is collapsing. It's collapsing, and it's gone into psychosis. So this is a very good thing. It's not a bad thing. So instead of being frustrated by the world gone bonkers, right? Look at that as what it really is, a psychopathic control grid going into psychosis. And you see it on all your media and everything. You see it everywhere. You see it. Every single day is like Clown World revealed, but that Clown World revealed is the psychopathic control grid gone into a psychotic endgame. That's the word I would use for this: the great endgame, the great pause. And all we have to do for the great endgame is to have the great pause. Wait and watch it die. Okay, without, just wait. It will die. It's you're watching. It's a dying animal screaming and waving its claws out, a dangerous predator. That's what this is all about. And don't worry about it. Okay, it's going to just wait. All we have to do is wait, and it will terminate itself. And eventually, and it's not going to happen because the normies are going to have a great awakening or anything like that. They will just follow the new emergence. As this thing destroys itself and falls asunder, a new one will replace it that will be more agreeable to us. This is even the Great Reset stuff. That's all part of the psychosis as well. These people think, that it's like when the psychopath is towards the end of its life and it goes into psychosis. Someone will say to them, the central heating system in the house is broken down. Can you fix it? And they'll go, paint the house a different color. Rather than fix the central heating system, paint the house a different color. And that's what the Great Reset is. The psychopathic control grid is falling apart, and rather than fundamentally trying to address it at the root cause, the collapse of the banking system, the mass media, the fake news, like what Trump is basically doing, to be honest with you. Instead of they're doing that, they're painting the outside of the house with a new paint, and it's called the Great Reset. But it won't change anything inside. It's purely just it's just a joke. It's just a sign of mental illness. There's always a famous thing in Ireland that when the national rail operator here, the old one, CIE, was closing a railway line, and this is true, they used to do this, they would paint all the stations and fix them up and then close the rail line a week later. And that was because mentally ill individuals were in charge of running the rail system. And rather than trying to try to do something to save the rail line, they would paint the stations and redecorate all the stations and close them down. That really happened on the West Cork lines. And when Ireland had its version of the beaching thing back in the early 60s. And that's what they're like. They don't, as the psychosis comes in, they don't address it directly. They will do something else that's completely left field that's supposed to, the Great Reset thing is a classic example of it. We have an environmental issue. If there's an environmental issue, you don't bring out Greta Thunberg. You start doing things like making modal shifts in terms of insulating people's houses. No, you don't. They don't do things like that. They show us speeches with Greta Thunberg, and that's all the psychosis kicking in, and you'll see that with the normies in your everyday life, particularly the woke ones. Any woke person in your life, and even if it's a family member or someone you love, you're probably looking at them right now and going, "He's a fucking lunatic," or "Who the fuck is she?" And what you're seeing is there. Because wokeness is connected to, this is why wokeness is so thoroughly insane. Wokeness is a manifestation of the psychopathic control grid moving from devious control and vicious psychopathy into the end game of every psychopath, and that's absolute and total psychosis. That is just totally out of left field and makes no sense at all. There's no gain. There's no gain from it. You can there's no gain from it, none. and there's no new real projects that they start up on. There's no new world. It's just complete and utter deterioration, and they're held that way. They're held in that, and then they're gone. They're gone, and they also age incredibly rapidly. You know, they could look quite well until the last 2 years of their lives when the psychosis kicks in, and then you look at them and say, "What the fuck happened there?" And they will look like demons or something. They actually elderly female psychopaths, and this is a really true one. They develop a toad-like look to them, and they just start looking like a toad. There's this toad-like, they look like a toad. There's something about the faces get toad-like, and the eyes toad-like. The elderly male psychopath look like the crypt keeper from Gollum. That's what they look like. They go very Gollum. They go very Gollum at the end. Or the crypt keeper from Tales of the Crypt TV show. That they get very thin and pointed, and it's really fascinating stuff. But that's when the psychosis, and everything is a delusional fantasy. Everything will be like it's delusional thing that they will say, all kinds of things that they've done or they know, and none of it is true. And outrageous, absolutely fucking outrageous things. The whole Baron Munchausen thing towards the end of his life said that he sailed the ship to the moon and stuff like that. This kind of thing. And that's what's happening now. So when you look at like the contradictory insanity surrounding the needlecraft and the ping pong and all that stuff, you're looking at the psychopathic control grid happening to it. Exactly what happens to a psychopath at the end of its life is that it moves from psychopathology into total and utter psychosis. And then the next stage is death. So all you have to do is pause and wait for it to die. So, don't be thinking, don't be self-hexing things by saying, "Oh, this is the new normal, it's going to be like this forever." No, it doesn't have to be like that forever. These people have failed at everything they've ever done. And this will be their greatest failure ever. Take care.